Oh, that's not a fart, that's just a chair. Hello there, my gorgeous friends on the internet. Hope you are healthy, hope you're doing great. I have a special little surprise for you today. As you know, I released my JavaScript course almost a week ago, and today I kind of want to give you guys a project from that course. So if you haven't joined yet, I still wanted to give you something. So this is actually the first project of the course. This is going to be a bit more simple, but it's going to improve your foundational skills. So if you still feel a bit uncomfortable in certain parts of JavaScript, it's going to give you a great foundation of all the basic things. So we're going to build out a nice looking UI animated JavaScript to-do list. So take a look right here. This is what we're gonna build. Now again, this is just one small project of the course. So if you're interested in more projects, bigger projects, and more advanced JavaScript topics, please make sure to check out the course. The link is gonna be in the description. Hope you're gonna like it. It's 30 hours of JavaScript content goodness for all of you. So consider purchasing if you're interested in it. Okay, also, so now that we're done with the JavaScript course, what's coming next on the channel? What are we gonna see? Well, in the next few weeks, we're gonna do a lot of UI and UX. So prototyping websites, maybe in Figma, creating designs and Affinity Designer for whatever Adobe you want to use, anything you want to use. Some more design-oriented content for the coming few weeks. Now this is kind of preparation because eventually we're going to get into Blender, Unity, and C#. So we're going to transition more into game development. All right, but again, it's going to be a transitional period here. So we're going to do a lot of design stuff coming up. Okay, so super excited about everything that's coming. Hope you're excited as well. And let's build out the to-do list. Let's go. The question is the camera gonna detect my face even though we have the glasses on? Pretty good. But can you do this? Not bad. I would say why you do this, but you did it. So know why you do this. Okay, in this section we're gonna recreate that to-do list, but actually make it nice looking and all. So let's start off by creating a new project. We're starting off from scratch, so please follow along if you want to build this little project out. It's going to be a great practice for you. Okay, so just a fresh start here, and what we're going to do is create an index.html, just our necessary things that we usually do. Our CSS, let's do that. I'm going to call this style.css, and let's also do app.js. Okay, so there we go. Let me make sure I'm recording. I sometimes forget to press record and I'm just talking to myself for 2 hours. Okay, perfect. So now what we're gonna do is just add some basic HTML code in here. So to generate one, hold Shift and 1, press Tab, and there we go. This is what we have. We're gonna rename this to list. Okay, now I also want to add some decent looking fonts to this. So let's hit save. I'm gonna actually open this up in a new live server. Okay, and we can go here, just a new tab, and we can search for, let's search for Google Fonts. Okay, click the first link, and for this one I use Poppins. So let's get Poppins, click the plus, pop this open. We're gonna copy this from here and paste it right above here. So let's go up here. Okay, and let's also link our style.css. So we're gonna hit link./style.css. Okay, finally our script tag down here. We're gonna add a source of ./app.js. Okay, am I missing something? Should we add something else? Let's also add font awesome for basically some basic icons that we're going to be using. So let's go to font awesome. And let's actually search up CDN here because we're going to directly link it to our website. So let's click on the first one, Bootstrap CDN. Let me see, is it this one? Let's actually go cdn.js. This is what we want. Okay, font awesome. And I'm just gonna go here to the CSS tab. Let's just get everything for now. So we're gonna hit copy here, copy link tag. Okay, perfect. Let's head back and let's paste it above our style.css as well. Okay, so basically what this allows us to do is just use all of these custom pre-made icons and everything. So let me show you in case you don't know. Font awesome. We can just basically add these I tags and it's automatically gonna generate these icons. So let's just pick one out here. I'll search out. They changed their website and it's so weird right now. I keep losing myself. Okay, there we go. So I want the adjust. I can just start using this icon and I can just add this I tag with this specific class. It's gonna recognize it and it's gonna add this automatically. Okay, so we're gonna use it for like plus symbols, a trash can to delete things and things of that sort. Okay, let's go back and start adding our necessary HTML code. So down here in the body tag, okay, so what do we need? I'm gonna just add a simple title. So I'm gonna create a header here with a h1. I'm gonna call this Ed's to-do list. You can call it your name, because if it would be my name, that would raise up some weird questions. Okay, next up, what we wanna do is create a form. I'll just do a form here. We don't need an action here. We can get rid of that. And I'm gonna add an input here of type text, that's fine. And I'm gonna also add a class of to-do input. Okay, so basically what we type in here is gonna create us a to-do. Next up, we wanna have a button. And I'm gonna add a class of to-do button to this. There we go. Type is gonna be submit. And that's pretty much it. And here I actually wanna add an icon. So I'm gonna add an I tag. And I'm gonna add a class of, actually, let's search that up, but we can do FAS, FA plus square, all right? Actually, you're gonna see what this does. Okay, so we have our button. Next up, what we wanna do is, I also wanna create some sort of filter. And you know what, we're actually gonna get back to the HTML. We're not gonna implement that. We're gonna keep this one simple for now. All right, so we have, we can add text, we can submit the test, the to-do. What else do we want? Well, we want to actually see the to-dos. So for that, let's just go down here and just create a simple div with a class of to-do container. All right, and inside here, we're gonna have a UL with a class of to-do list. And what I'm gonna do here is inside this UL, I'm actually gonna generate a bunch of LIs. Or actually, we're also going to implement a delete button and also a check mark button. So what we're actually going to end up doing with JavaScript is we're going to create a div with the class of to-do that has also an li and also some buttons to it. So we're going to generate this whole thing out. And I'm going to show you how we can do more complex HTML generations like this. So for now, actually, we don't need anything in here. Okay, so that's good. Everything is looking good. We're set up. We're gonna add some basic CSS to this and also just start jumping into the JavaScript. You know what? Actually, we might just do a bit of JavaScript and then add the CSS so we can actually see what's going on here. Okay, so this is exciting. I'll see you in the next one. Okay, let's start up adding a bit of CSS, a bit of JavaScript, getting this thing to work. So as you can see, we have the plus symbol there, and that's from the font awesome. Again, you can add like an add button or submit if you want, but we're gonna make this a bit nicer looking. Okay, let me head back to the code here. So let's pop this open. And actually what I'm gonna do is kind of drag this in here so you can see what we're changing. So let's close this up, let's close this up. We're gonna drag this down here a bit so you can see. Actually, we're gonna tab between them. Oh, okay, I keep changing my mind. So first of all, what I want to do is just kind of remove all the basic styling by adding a star symbol, and we're going to say margin 0, padding 0, and box sizing border box. Okay, so this just removes the basic stylings of the browser. So now if we take a look, now those are stuck all the way up there. We don't have any margins, paddings, and anything like that. Okay, for the body, what I'm gonna do is actually add a nice background color I found. And this one is gonna be a linear gradient, like this. And then here, I'm gonna add 120 degrees, so it goes from down here to up here. And the colors are, we're gonna add a hashtag F6D365. Okay, that's the first one, comma. The second one is gonna be FDA085. Let's see, does it look nice? And I cannot see anything. Okay, interesting. So what's going on? Let's change this to background image, like that. And now we should be able to see it. Okay, so that looks okay. I like it. Let's go down here. What I want to do now is change the colors. So all the text that I'm adding is going to have a color of white. There we go. We can make this darker, maybe just a bit. Yeah, I don't know. You can mess around with this. Yeah, just a bit darker. So we have more contrast there. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, next up, let's also add the font family because we added Poppins. So let's do Poppins and sans serif. Okay, there we go. And also let's add a min height to this body of like 100 VH. Okay, next up we're gonna get the header. I'm gonna add a font size of 2 rem, just make that text a bit bigger. Ooh, maybe it's a bit too big. Actually, I'm zoomed in. Okay, 1.5. Okay, there we go. Doesn't need to be too big. Next up, what we're gonna do is get the header, so where this H1 is, and also the form, and I wanna center them. So I'm just gonna add a min height to both of them of 20 VH, and then I'm just gonna use display flex with justify content center and align item center. Align item center to basically center everything. There we go. All right, so we added the height here, 20. So if we take a look with the inspector, as you can see, we have 20 VH and 20 VH here as well, and we just centered them horizontally and vertically. Okay. And we are getting close to start implementing some JavaScript. So let's just add a bit more here. I'm gonna get the form. Let's get the form input and also the form button, like that. And I'm just gonna add some padding to this, 0.5 rem. Let's add some font size to rem. Let's remove the border here. We're gonna say none, and the background is gonna be white. I know, CSS takes a bit of time, and I know you're here for the JavaScript, but let's kind of make this nice looking. Okay, just a bit of padding to it. We remove the ugly borders, and we also just increase the font size a bit, and yeah, that's kind of it. Looks already much better. Okay, next up, what I want to do is grab the form button. Let's add a color to this. I'm actually gonna get the color that we used up there, so this one. Okay, just paste that in there. I'm gonna change the background of it to, let's do white. Change the cursor to pointer so it looks clickable. And let's also add the transition to this. Let's do transition, all 0.3 seconds ease. Okay, and then we're gonna go down here and just add the transition button, hover, like this. Now what we're gonna do is just copy this color over from here, but the difference is we're gonna add it to the background. So we're gonna just type in background, add this, and then to the color is gonna be white. Okay, so we just kind of switch these around. Whew. Okay, good. There we go. That's what we have. Looks much nicer. Okay. Next up, actually, let's start implementing a bit of JavaScript next, so we actually see what's going on here, because we're going to add those to-dos, and we cannot actually see what we're adding and how we're styling them. So let's stop here with the CSS, and in the next part, we're gonna have fun. Okay, let's start adding some JavaScript. So what I like to do is kind of organize my code, add the selectors up here. If I have some event listeners, do them here, and all my functions go down here. Okay, so let's start grabbing everything that we have. We have the to-do input, document.query selector, and this is to-do input. Okay, now quick cool shortcut that you can do is hold Shift, Alt, and just press on the down arrow, like this, on the down arrow. And that's going to duplicate it 2 more times. Or you can do Control-C, Control-V. I'm not judging you. We're just going to change this to to-do button. And this is just going to be to-do button. And this one is going to be our big to-do list, which is going to be the UL. So this one, because we're going to append all the list items to this at the end. So to-do list, document.query selector, and this is going to be called to-do list. Okay. Hit save, and we are good to go. Okay, so let's create our first event listener. We're gonna get the to-do button, and we're gonna add an event listener to this of click. And when we click, we wanna add a to-do. Okay, but we don't have an add to-do, so let's create a function called add to-do. All right, we're gonna add the event in here in case we need it. And next up, what we're gonna do is start creating our li, our to-do. So first of all, what we want to do, let's just make sure this works, console log, hello. Hit save, and let's click. I'm gonna press F12, that's F11, oh no. Where's my F12? There it is. Go to the console, click plus, and oh no, it doesn't work because our browser refreshes. So if you know previously, what we did to stop that behavior is we grab the event and we add a prevent default, and that's going to stop it. Hit save. There we go. Now we don't have that issue anymore. Okay, so prevent form from submitting. Okay, next up, what we actually want to do is, because I told you that we're not only going to have an li here like this, we also are going to have a button of like delete, and also a button of checked. All right, so or completed, our to-do is completed. And all of this is gonna be inside another to-do, like this, a div of to-do. Okay, let me copy this. So this is the structure that we wanna achieve. And then we're gonna have multiple of these like that. Okay, so let's create this. What we're gonna do is go back here, and the first thing I want to do is create that to-do div. So we're going to call this to-do div. Const to-do div is equal to document. Now create element, and we're going to just add a div in here. Okay, next up I want to add that class to it. So we can do to-do div dot class list dot add to-do. There we go. So we have that. Okay. Next up, let's create the li, create li. In here, what I want to do is kind of the same thing, just const new to do is equal to document.create element. This is going to be called the li. All right. Okay. And the value that I want in it, let's just grab the new to do dot inner text. What do we want in here? For now, let's just put, hey, let's just make sure this works. Okay, that's good. Let's also add a class list to it. We're gonna say new to do dot class list dot add to do item. Okay, I'm gonna use this to style our CSS in just a bit. Okay, and next up, what I want to do is let's see. Let's grab that to-do div and append the child of new to-do. All right, so we're actually sticking it inside this div that we just created up here. All right, so now we have a div with an li of to-do item. Okay, So that's one. Now we need two buttons. We need a completed button and a delete button. So let's do completed or check mark button, and this is gonna be const. Let's do completed button is equal to document.create element, like that, and this is gonna be a button. And actually, let me show you a cool new trick that we can do. If I grab the complete button, if I add an inner text inside this one, all right, so we know that this works. If I add some text, that's gonna be perfectly fine. However, what if I want to add inside this button that I tag to create a new icon, basically? If I do an I tag like this, I closed, and I just add something like a class of equal to FAS FA check. All right, this is the one we're gonna add. So make sure to get this correctly here. If I do this with inner text, this is not gonna work. This is gonna render out as just text. So what if I want to actually add it as a HTML in here? How can we do that? I kind of wanted to bring you to this point because you can use create element, but you can also add it like this using inner HTML. All right, so we're basically adding to this button this I tag inside. Okay, let's close this up. Next up, what we're gonna do is we're gonna get the completed button, just add a class to this. Class list add of complete button. All right, and finally, we're gonna append this button to the div again. So to do div dot append child completed button. All right, there we go. And then we can kind of just duplicate this again over here, down here, and our final button is going to be a trash button. So we're going to rename this to trash button like that, and just change the completed here with the trash. All right, so here, here, and here. And I think that should be good. And inside this I tag, we're not going to do a check anymore. We're going to do a trash. Okay, perfect. Should be all good. Now that we finally attached everything to this div, again, we're going to get the trash button, append it to this div. So now this big div also has the to-do, the li, the button, and the other button. What we want to finally do is take this big div and attach it to the actual UL, because what we have right now is this kind of floating around here. This div of to-do with a li and two buttons, right? This is what we have, 1 and 2. So we want to take this to-do now and append it to this to-do list. So that's what we're going to do. So here at the end, we're going to say append to list. So we're going to get the to-do list dot append child, and we're going to do the to-do div that we just made here. Okay, and that's it. This is how we actually generate a new to-do, completed with a bunch of other stuff here. Okay, so let's give this a shot and see if it works. Go here, and there we go, it works. It's down here, it's very ugly. Click, 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 but there we go. Everything works just fine. So now let's go and style this button up a bit, this to-do, center it, make it look all nice. Okay, let's style up these to-do buttons because they're extremely ugly. We're gonna go back to our CSS, right down here. We're gonna get the to-do container like this. We're gonna add a display flex to it. Good. A justify content of center and align items of center. Hit save, and that's gonna center everything for us. So that's good. Now we can get the actual to-do list. So that's the UL, all right? And we're gonna just add a minimum width to this. Let's do 30%, like that. And let's remove those dots. So we can say list style of none. Okay, good. Now we can get the actual to-do. So these items in here. Let's add a bit of margin to them. Let's do margin 0.5 rem. Okay, let's add a background of white so we can see them. All right, there we go. That's what we have. Let's do a color of black. All right, we can see the text now. Increase the font size a bit, 1.5 rem. There we go. Let's also add a display flex to this, so all the items jump next to each other. And then what I'm gonna do is add a justify content space between, like that, okay? That's gonna give a space in between each of the elements inside this to do, and align items center. Okay, good. Let's also add a transition to this. Actually, we're gonna cover this later on. Let's keep this simple. Next up, let's get the to-do li. If I get the to-do li, so only this one, and if I add a flex 1 to it, it's gonna push all of these buttons right here at the end. So if I hit save, as you can see now, they're next to each other. Okay, next up, let's kind of style these up. The buttons, so the trash button, comma, complete button. For these, let's do a background of FF6, F47. There we go. Let's add a color of white to them. Border of none. Let's make a padding of 1 rem. There we go, much better. Cursor of pointer, so we can click on them like this. And a font size of 1 rem. There we go. Oh, that's much, much better. Next up, I want to change the color of this check mark because we added it to both of them, but we can just come down here and override that style because, yeah, I want all of them to have this besides the background color. So I'm just going to grab the complete button and just add a background. I don't know, let's do like a greenish color. If we hover over this, let's just write green here. Go here. Okay, I'm actually changing both of them for some reason. So let me make sure I'm not doing that. So why are we changing both here? Let's give this a refresh, add a new one. All right, I'm still adding this. Complete button. Let's make sure we're generating this correctly. Complete button and complete button. Okay, so we actually haven't changed the class of the trash can. So let's go back to our JavaScript here. Expand this a bit. And here, trash button, we add a class of complete button. So we want to change this. Let's change it to trash button. All right, and that should fix the color for us. Okay, let's head back to our style.css, save and generate a new one. There we go. That's what we want. Perfect. Okay, let's see something else here that's important. Actually, I think we're gonna keep it like this. And now we're gonna jump in and let's actually change the text here in JavaScript because I don't want hey, hey, hey all over the place. So let's make this bigger. We don't need that minimized anymore. Okay, we're adding it, but the problem is we keep adding hey here over and over again. So where are we doing that? Let's find the element. Where is you? I'm blind. Oh my goodness. Hey, here we go. The culprit has been found. Okay, so rather than doing this, what we want to do is actually grab the to-do input value. So on the input here, what we can do is say to-do input dot value. Okay, hit save. Let's see. There we go. Much better than before. A problem, I want to also clear out this. I don't want this to stay here. So to clear out, if you remember, what we can do is say to-do input.value and set that to nothing. So let's go down here. After we append it, clear to do input value. To do input dot value is equal to nothing. Save. Let's see. There we go. Much better. Now we also need to add some padding to this on the margins because it kind of looks stuck there and I don't like the way that looks. So let's go back here to style.css. Let's grab the to-do item and just add a padding of 0 rem and 0.5 rem left to right. There we go. So they're not that stuck together anymore. Perfect. Okay, that's great. We have made the add to do. That works perfectly fine now. And we're gonna leave it at this. And in the next one, what we're gonna do is make it so we can delete each item. Okay, next up, we're gonna add the delete functionality. And if you remember, when we were messing around with DOM, we kind of did it this way. We added a new item add event listener of delete item. But what we're actually gonna do, we're gonna do it a bit differently this time. Rather than adding it to the actual to-do or the li, we're gonna be adding it to the whole to-do. And we're gonna basically listen to what are we clicking on. And based on what we're clicking on, we are gonna execute a different function. Okay, this is gonna give us a bit more flexibility. So let me show you. Let's go back to app.js. All right, currently we can add stuff, but we cannot delete. So hitting delete will do nothing. So what I'm gonna do is go all the way up here to the event listeners and let's add a new one. We're gonna do to-do. When we did to-do button, let's do to-do list. So the actual list, add event listener. On click, what we want to do is delete and check. All right, so delete and check. Delete, check. Let's name it like that. Okay. Let's go all the way down here, create the function called delete check. Delete check. Okay, so that's good. Now here we're gonna get the event again. And basically what I wanna do is just console log out the event dot target, all right, to see what I'm clicking on. So go here, press F12, console, let's see. All right, so I can get to click on the li. I can also get the button here and the other button. So based on whatever I'm clicking on, I can add different functionality. Okay, so let's do the deleting part. It's gonna be quite simple. First of all, let's just grab the item, whatever we're clicking on. I'm just gonna name it item e.target. All right, this can be anything. Okay, so let's delete the to-do. For this one, I'm just gonna say if item.classList, and I'm gonna check 0 here, so the first class. If that triple equals to trash button, then I know that we clicked on the trash button, so I want to delete the thing. So what I want to do here, well, we're going to have a problem because if I just do, take a look, if I just do to-do dot remove, like that, hit save, well, yeah, that's a problem. That's not what I want to do. Delete. All right, let's check what's happening here. Do we have an error? All right, so that gets deleted for some reason up here, the to-do input. So let's see what happened. What did we mess up? E.target, to-do input. I don't want the to-do input actually. I want the item itself to be removed. All right, so delete, delete. All right, that only gets rid of the trash can, and that's not what we want. But we also have another problem. As you can see, I'm kind of struggling to click on this and to remove it. So what's happening there? Well, I'm actually not clicking on the button. I'm clicking on this little damn I tag here. And when you click on the I tag, nothing's gonna happen. Because we have the class of trash button on the button. So I have to click kind of on the side here to activate it. Oh, so if you click on the actual thing, on the I tag, it's not gonna delete it. See? So let's remove that problem. We can just go here to style.css. And what we can do is we can get the FA trash and the FA check, and we can just say pointer events none, which is gonna mean that, hey, you basically cannot click on this anymore. Okay, so we fixed that issue. Let's see. Blah, 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 blah. Hit delete. All right, so works perfectly fine. Doesn't matter where I click here. We're actually clicking on the button. Okay, but we're not deleting the to-do, we're actually deleting the button, and that's not good. That's not what we want. So how can we delete the button, the to-do? Well, what we can do is we can go up to the parent element from here. Rather than removing the actual item, we can remove the parent of it. So I can say const to-do is equal to item.parent element. Like that. Okay. And now, if I do to-do.remove, then that should work just fine. Delete. There we go. So that works perfectly fine now. Hey, that's good. Okay, there we go. We made a simple to-do list. Next up, we're gonna add, let's also do the check mark actually. And then we're gonna add the necessary classes and animations to this. So quickly, let's also do the check mark. Check mark. Basically, we click on the green to mark this as completed. So we can do the same thing. If item.classList 0 triple equals to complete button, then what we can do is say const to do is equal to item.parent element. And to do class list, we're going to add a toggle to this of completed. Okay, and that's it. Next up, let's implement the classes and the animations to make this nice. Here is where the fun begins. Let's go to style.css. Okay, Ed, stop singing and show me how to do this. Okay, let's go to style.css. And the first thing I want to do is let's do the completed because we added that class. Completed. For this one, it's going to be super simple. Completed. All I want to do is add a text decoration of line through. All right. And I want to just put the opacity down to like 0.5. And that should be good. Add something. Click OK. There we go. We are nicely toggling this. So now what we can do is also add a transition to this. So let's go up to the to-do and add a transition of all 1 second ease. Hit save. Much better. There we go. Lovely. Actually, this is kind of too long. I don't like it. 0.5. Hit save. There we go. Much more responsive. Much better. What I also want to do, it would be cool if we can delete and add an animation to this, right? Okay, let's see how we can do that. The problem is if we just do something like, I don't know, let's create a class of fall. All right, so before we remove the element, I want to do class list add fall. Okay, well, let's make this. Go down here. We want to have a fall like that. And I just want to transform, translate y. Let's do something like hrem. All right, kind of push it down by 8. And let's also add a rotation to this. Rotate Z 20 degrees. Okay, and opacity is also 0. Okay, so I want to add this. Let's see how this looks. So here's the problem. We are going to add the class to this, but we're instantly going to remove it. Add, delete. See, it gets rid of it instantly, even though we do add the class list here. Okay, so let's remove the remove. Is that going to work? Apple pie, my dude. delete the pie. All right, so the animation works nicely, but we're just removing the opacity. So the element actually still stays there. If we check, see, we still have these kind of stuck in space there. So we still want to remove these somehow. Okay, how can we do that? Well, what we can do is we can animate this out first. And when the animation actually finishes, then we can remove the element. So is there a proper way we can do that? And yes, there is. And I use this quite a lot. What we can do is add the animation here. And down here, we can grab the to-do and add a special event listener to it called transition end, like this. And what this is gonna do is, let's add a function in here, is it's gonna wait and only execute after the animation completed. So after the transition completed, because you also have something called animation end. If you have an animation in CSS, you can also do that. But here we have a transition, so it's gonna wait till the transition finishes and then it's gonna execute this function. So we can do to-do.remove in here. Okay, hit save and now take a look. Add multiple elements and there we go. Perfect. So as you can see, it waits a bit till it's actually done and then boom, it removes it. So lovely, look at that. How nice. Okay, that looks nice, I'm happy with that. Next up, and we're getting close to the end here, we're just gonna add a filter that we can check what we have completed, what's all of them, what do we have left to do, and finally we're gonna save this to local storage so we can close up the browser and we can still have our to-dos. Okay, let's go back to our HTML and just add a filter in here. So let's go, where are we going? Above the form here, let's add it here. We're just gonna create a select class. And here we're gonna have select. All right, let's remove everything from here. We're gonna have a name of to-dos and a class of filter to-do. Okay, and in here we're gonna have a couple of options. Option with a value of all, and let's copy this 2 more times. This is gonna be completed, or we can do marked. Completed. Uncompleted. Okay, and then just kind of change this from here to here and here to here, and just lowercase everything. Okay, that's good. Now here is the incredible boring part. We're gonna style this up a bit. If you don't want, the files are gonna be attached down there, because styling one of the select things is kind of just, yeah, that's how it is. And it takes quite a long time. So if you want to skip this, feel free to skip this and copy paste it over from the source files. But if you want to follow along, then let's go. So let me put this up here, make this smaller, close this up, and make some space. Okay, so what I want to do is actually get the select and remove all the styles from it, because we cannot actually style this, the actual select tag. So what we do is we remove all the styles from it and we do some trickery with pseudo elements and the div above it. So what we can do is we can say WebKit appearance and set that to none, hit save. We can do MOZ appearance none, appearance none, and then we can do an outline of none, a box shadow of none, or border none. Okay, so that's good. Next up, we're gonna get the actual select, so the div that we created around this select. All right, this is the div. Here, let's just add a bit of margin, 1 rem. All right, space it out. We're gonna add a position of relative and an overflow of hidden. All right, next we're gonna get the select. We're gonna add a color to this of F, this one that we used. There we go. Let's add a width to it. Let's do 10 rem. Okay, cursor is going to be pointer, and that's good. And now what we're going to do is add the arrow back. And for that, what we're going to do is get the select div, and we're going to add the pseudo element of after, and the content in here is going to be dash, like that, 25 BC. All right, take a look. That adds a nice little arrow. And now we're going to place this arrow on the inside here. So we're going to say position absolute. Okay, we're going to add a background of FF6F47. Perfect. And then we're going to add it to the top, 0, right, 0, like that. All right, so it's right there. Next, we're going to add a bit of padding to it of 1 rem, like that. And we're going to add a pointer event of none. So we cannot actually click on this. All right, so I want to be able to click through it. And I hit save. Okay, so let's actually, this doesn't look that good. All right, we actually need to make this, for some reason it hasn't expanded yet because I wanted this to expand the size of this. So let's, let's take a look at what's going on here. Why is this not working? Padding, select. After we have some width, let's add the padding to this 1 rem. There we go. All right, so that kind of fixes it for us. Okay. Looking, it's okay. That's not terrible. It looks fine. Okay, so now we can select all of these different options. Feel free to make this nicer looking. We can also add like a transition to this if you want. I don't know. Let's do a select, hover, after, and then we're gonna do, what shall we do to it? Like a rotation. Now like a color, or we can do a background of white, and the color is gonna be this one. Okay, that's good. Transition, 0.3 seconds, ease all. Kind of have the same thing that we have going on here. Okay, that's good. Okay, there we go. We have everything working completely fine. Now what we can do is kind of make this work. So let's add some random items in here. Apple, chocolate, banana, tomato, kiwi, David, and you. We're together. There we go. That's so cute. Okay, let's switch here to all, close this up, and full screen this. So what we're gonna do is create a, you guessed it, a function. Function filter to do. We're gonna grab the event in here. And what we're gonna do is, let's go all the way up here. And we're gonna get the filter option is equal to document query selector. We're gonna get the filter to do. Okay, so this is this one. All right, so the actual select element. Let's scroll down here again. And now what we can do is grab all the to-dos. Const to-dos is equal to to-do list. We can also grab the child nodes if we want, like that. Let's do a console log to-dos. Hit save, and let's see what we have. Expand this, console. Let's add some things. Okay, it's not working. Heh, why you do this to me? Oh, we actually need to add an event listener. Heh, joke's on me. Okay, we can say filter option dot add event listener. On clickety clackety, we can filter the to do, filter to do. Okay, click. As you can see, it starts executing as soon as I click. Let's add some things here. Okay, there we go. now works. But I really don't care about clicking here. I want it when I only click on the actual option for it to do something. So what do we want to do? We want to go down here and we want to make sure to check what we're clicking on. So we're going to loop over this, over all of our to-dos, to-dos.for each. Again, since we're using node list here, we can do a for each loop, which is cool. We can add a function in here, and here we have access to each individual to-do. Okay, so here what I want to do is create a switch, which we haven't used so far. So we can check the e.target.value. Okay, and what this is going to bring us back is basically if I click on all, this is the value. So e.target is going to be option, and the value is going to be all, or completed or uncompleted. Okay, so that's what the actual value here is that we're looking at. Okay, so switch this. We're going to open a pair of curly brackets again. So we're going to create cases. So case all. All right. So in case we click on all, what we want to do is basically show all the to-dos. But we already have them shown. So let's skip to the next one. So let's just add a break for now. Let's do a case of completed. What do I want to do when it's completed? Well, I can check if todo.classList contains completed. So basically I'm checking, hey, make sure to only check the to-dos that have the class of completed on them. And if they do have the class of completed, then show them. So todo.style.display, I'm just going to add a display flex since this is what they have. All right, we added flex on the to-dos. Else, if they don't have the class of completed, todo.style.display, make sure to remove them. None. And in case we click on all of them here, well, then we just want to todo.style.display equal to flex. So we want to show all of them. All right, we're not checking on anything. We want to show the completed ones, the uncompleted ones, all of them. Okay. Let's see. So we add Apple, John, Mayor, Coco. Oh, almost went wrong there, but there we go. So we check Apple and John. We click here, press completed. It only shows us the completed ones. All right, because we're checking the classes. Show me the to-dos that only have the class of completed on them and display those flex, and the other ones, just get rid of them. And now if we switch back to all, it's gonna show all. Again, I did display flex since this is what we have in our CSS, because if we do display block, block and block, this is what's gonna happen. All right, let's just add something random here. Click, click. There we go. All right, so it jumps down here because we had display flex on them. So switch this back. Okay, hit save. Check, check. Completed. Perfect. So now we can do the uncompleted one too. We can go down here, case, uncompleted. So this is getting kind of simple, right? It's kind of the same thing. We can just check if todo.classList contains completed. So we can do this again, and I can just say todo classes that don't contain the completed. All right, we add the exclamation mark here to check if it doesn't have it. And we just do the same thing. So let's just copy paste everything here. Copy this, paste it down here. And let's paste the else statement there too. Okay. Apple, John, Traversy, Media. Let's see. Apple, Media. There we go, completed. All. Uncompleted. There we go. That's what we have. All Actually, wait, something's not okay. Let me make this a bit more clear. 1, 2, 3, 4, because I'm pretty stupid at finding these problems out. So let's do 1 and 2. All right, so completed should be 1 and 2. Well, we have 3 and 4, and uncompleted, we still have 3 and 4. Okay, so something is not okay here. All completed, so completed should show me 1 and 2. Okay, let's see. What have we messed up? We're gonna find out together. I need a break here. Oh no. There's our problem. Break. Let's also add a break here. See, sometimes the simplest things mess you up. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2. So the completed ones are 1 and 2. There we go. And then the uncompleted ones are 3 and 4. Okay, now it works. See, that little break can be quite the type. Okay, I'm happy with this. Everything's looking just fine and dandy. The last step that we can do, which to be honest is a bit, it's not necessary anymore. This works perfectly fine. But if we want to save them with local storage, then it needs a bit of extra work. So let's do that. Final video, implementing the local storage to our little app here. Okay, so what we're gonna do is create another function all the way down here that's basically gonna save the to-dos to the local storage. Caps lock, please turn off. So we're gonna create a function, save local to-dos, and here we're gonna receive a to-do, because what we're gonna do, where we're gonna call this function, is actually in here somewhere. Okay, so when we actually add the to-do, we're also adding it to our local storage. All right, so we can pass in this to-do here because we're gonna receive it in here. So what do I want to happen in my local storage? Well, I want to create a to-dos, and first of all, what I want to check is if I already have a to-dos in my local storage, because if I have one already, then I don't want to basically get rid of it or rewrite it. So I want to make sure to create some kind of a check. Hey, do I already have things in there? So to create that, I'm going to create a variable here just called to-dos. All right, not going to assign anything to it. And next up, I want to do an if statement and say if local storage dot get item to-dos. I want to check if this exists, if I already have a to-do. And if I don't, so I'm going to set null. If it doesn't exist, then I want to create an empty array like that. Okay. Else, what I want to do is to-dos is equal to JSON.parse. We're going to parse back local storage.gets item to-dos. All right, so this assuming that I already have something in there, I'm going to take it back and create it into an array. I'm going to parse it back into an array. Okay, so this is the check that we're using. And next up, what I want to do is grab the to-dos and push in the to-do. Okay, so the thing that we're passing in here, I want to push it to that to-dos array. And finally, what I want to do is say local storage dot set item to-dos, comma, JSON dot stringify to-dos. So at the end of the day, actually, let me just say to-dos here, the array, I'm pushing this back into local storage. All right, so this is how we are saving it when we're adding a new item. First of all, it's gonna check if we already have a to-dos. If we don't have, it's gonna just create an empty array, so this one. And if we do have a to-dos already, well, we're gonna be left with an array here. So we're gonna get back the actual to-dos from local storage and we're gonna have an array. So let's say we have an array. If we do, we're just gonna push in a new to-do to it, and then we're gonna set it back into the local storage. Okay, and that's kind of it. So let's take a look if this works. let's go up here, and where do I want to add it? Into add to do. Well, I want to make sure I add it before I actually change the to do value to nothing. So let's do it somewhere up here. Let's do it here. Okay, or down here. Add to do to local storage. So what I want to do is just call save local to-dos, like that. Okay, and what do I want to add in here? Well, the to-do input dot value. All right, so this to-do input value is going to go from here inside here. So here we have the value now, and we're just going to either push it into the local storage. So hit save. And now if we take a look, if we press F12, go here to storage, local storage, click here. We have one already. Let me just actually delete this. I had it saved. Let's get rid of this, local storage.clear. Okay, so I cleared this out. Let me just go back here, hit save. Okay, so we have nothing. We add something, apple. There we go. Chocolate. And there we go. So again, when I refresh the page, it's still there, but when I add another one, it's not going to be any issue because it's going to get this list back from local storage. It's going to be like, oh, we have an array there. So if we have the array, which we do, then it's just going to get it back and it's going to set it equal to to-dos, and it's going to we're going to have it in here. And then we're just going to push in new items to it and then push it back to local storage. Okay, so it works perfectly fine. But the problem is that our UI is actually not updating, so we cannot actually see anything in here anymore. We're going to fix that later on, so don't worry. Okay, now that this works, actually let's do that, because to be able to delete from the local storage, we need to see these. I cannot click on anything here. So let's implement that. Let's do get to-dos. I'm just going to create a function get to-dos. And here I'm just going to create that to-dos again, an empty variable. And I'm basically going to redo this check here. I'm going to copy everything from up here down here. All right, so I'm checking. Hey, do we have something in local storage? No, create an empty array. If I do, okay, get it back. So in this case, we are getting it back. We have two items. We have apple and chocolate. Okay, after that, what I want to do is just loop over them. To-dos for each. We're going to add a function in here, anonymous function for each to-do. Well, what do I want to do? Well, basically, we're going to recreate the whole thing that we have up here inside this add to-do. Okay, so this is kind of gnarly, but we're going to need to copy kind of everything over here. So from here to the to-do div, let's copy all the way down here to the to-do append child to-do div. Okay, and go down here and paste this big thing in here. Hit save, and let's kind of change things up. So we do need this, so that's fine. This is fine. This is not fine anymore because we don't need it from the input anymore, the value here of the inner text of the to-dos. What we actually need the value is from our actual local storage that we have in here. So I'm going to copy the to-do and add it in here. Okay. Yes, we still need to add the class, append the child, that's fine. We don't need this anymore, save to local storage, so we can remove this. This is fine, and everything else should be fine. So let's hit save. Let's give this a refresh, and nothing yet happens because we're not calling this get to-dos anymore. So let's call this function. And what we need to do is go all the way up here where we have our event listeners. And what we can actually do is we can attach an event listener to the document or the window, and we can check basically if our content on our web page has loaded. And if it's loaded, then execute the function. So we can say document.add event listener, and we can call this DOM content loaded. Basically, if everything loads up, run this function of get to-dos. get to-dos. Okay, hit save. Refresh, and we have nothing. Let's make sure that our thing executes. So let's go to get to-dos again. Scroll down here, get to-dos. Let's add a console log, make sure everything works. Console log, hello. Console, all right, so we have an issue here. Let's see, redeclaration of let to-dos. So we redeclared a variable on line 103, 105. Let's see, okay, so we copy pasted this 2 times. So that's the problem here. Let's get rid of this. Hit save, all right. We have 2 let to-dos. There we go, look at that. Works perfectly. We can get rid of this. So we're just pulling everything back. Lovely. Now let's take a look on how we can delete things. So now if I delete this, refresh, these are still gonna be here. Okay. This is getting a bit tricky, isn't it? So let's create another function. Remove local storage to-dos, local to-dos. All right, that's fine. Here we're gonna have a to-do again. Again, we're gonna do this check. So let's grab this check here. You can also drop this in another small function if you want. It's probably a better idea, but for now, I'm just gonna copy paste it down here. Okay, so we have this little thing here. This is gonna be very simple. All we need to do is basically remove the position of the element that we're clicking on. So if I click on Apple, I want to remove Apple from this array. So how can we remove a specific element? So let's just add more here. Apple, chocolate, donut, potato, dance. All right. So basically what I want to do is get the index of 1, so donut, index of donut, and then using an array method, we can get rid of this one exactly, because we saw pop, push, unshift, and shift, which kind of just do at the end of the array or the beginning of the array, one of the two. But we can also remove specific elements from our array, and we can use that with a method called splice. So what we can do first of all is get the index of that to do. So we can say to do index is equal to do. Let's just console log what we get back here actually. Console log to do, because I have no idea what we're getting back. Remove to-dos. Okay, so when do we want to call this? Well, when we actually click on delete. So let's go to delete. Delete, here we go. So here, after we add the fall animation, I want to also remove it. Remove local to-dos, and I'm just gonna pass in the to-do. Okay, hit save. Let's see what we're getting back here. Console. All right, so I'm actually getting back the class of to-do. Okay, so what I want to have access to now is let's see if we do children. Let's see what we get back now. All right, we got to do item, complete button, and trash button. So what I want to just basically do is get back this text here that I'm clicking on. So we can access the first one, so the li. So to do dot children 0, okay? Because we're in the div here. This is what I'm clicking on, the div. And I want to go all the way to the li. Okay, now we're at the li, and I just want the inner text. Inner text. There we go. All right, donut, potato. All right, where am I getting with this? What do I want to do? Well, what I want to do is console log. I want to get the index of that. So I want to do to-dos dot index of this thing, index of apple, for example. Okay, and that's gonna give me back, let's do potato. All right, that's gonna give me back 3. So potato was on number 3. That's why I'm doing this whole thing, just to get the index of the element that I'm clicking on. So what we can do is drop this in a to-do index and set it equal to to children inner text. Okay, and now what we can do is use this method called splice on the array, to-do splice, and I can just pass in this to-do. We can grab the to-dos index of to-do index, like that. And I'm gonna add a comma and 1. Okay, I wanna go over this again because this looks a bit complicated. So what's happening here is when we're clicking on the delete here, we're actually clicking on the div, right? That's the to-do. The to-do here is the div. And what I wanna do is kind of navigate all the way down to the text, because we can access a specific index of an array using index of. So to-do's index of apple is gonna give me back the position of it. So to-do index of donut is gonna give me back 0, 1, 2. All right, that's gonna give me back 2. And using the splice method, I can just say, hey, from the to-dos, make sure to remove the third element, the index of third element, or the index of second or fifth or whatever. All right, so this is the first argument that you're passing in here. From what position do you want to remove an element? And the second argument is, how many do you want to remove? 1, 2, 3, I just want to remove 1. Okay, so that's what's happening here. We're checking the big array, we're just checking the index of one specific element. So now, if we go back to storage here, you're gonna see that if we remove donut, okay, nothing's gonna happen yet. Why? Well, we removed it from the array, but we still need to set back that local storage. We're not changing it. So what we need to do is say local storage, set item, and just set back that to-dos. JSON.stringify and push it back to local storage. Okay, so I hope this clears everything up a bit with what's happening here. I can give you a secluded example, probably that's gonna be a bit more clear. So I'm gonna just grab everything here, comment it out, because I really wanna make this clear. Const, let's do items or to-dos, set this equal to, let's do apple, John, donut, baby boy. Okay, so we have that. And what I do basically is say to-dos dot index of, let's say John. All right, this is basically gonna give me back the number of the index, the position of it, so 0, 1. So if I do a console log index of John, save that, that's gonna give me 1. Okay, so we have the number, and that's what we did here. We just get the number of it, index of to-do index, which we drilled down all the way to the text. And then what we do is we use the splice method. So I'm gonna save this, const John index is equal to this. And then what we just do is we grab the big to-dos list and we just splice up John index and 1, so 1 element. Okay, and then if we console logged, this should be fine. Console log to-dos, John should be gone. Goodbye, John. Okay, so hope that cleared everything up. Uncomment, save, let's get back to this code. Storage, let's see, donut, and there we go, donut is gone. Apple is gone. Refresh, and we still have these perfectly fine here. Our filters still work just fine. Everything is great. There we go. We can close up the browser, restart this, go live, and we still have everything working. So that's gonna be it. That's gonna be the project. Now there's still like a small thing that will not work with this local storage. For example, if we add a check mark to this and we refresh, all right, that's gonna be coming back normally, because creating that functionality will be incredibly tricky. What you need to do probably is just, when you hit complete, also create a local storage for that of completed items and separate those from these, and then retrieve all of them accordingly. Okay, but that's overly complicated, to be honest. For just something so small, it doesn't really matter. Okay, so that's gonna be it. Hope you enjoyed this small little project. Hope you learned a few things, and let's do more.